Yes, sir.
Mr. Corsi, thank you for being a thinker.
Thank you, sir.
In the 2010 elections, we are going to have to come up with strong conservative candidates all over the country. In your opinion, will we be able to save this country if states stand up?
Yes, I believe the states are a key area to work. We've already got some campaigns going in the states. We have a candidate here with us today running for governor in California. Let's support her. Let's find others who want to run under the Constitution Party banner, and let's fight in the states. State houses, state governor's offices, these are critical positions. If we can get them back, we can start.
You also have one here running for governor in Arizona.
Who is that?
Me.
Let's support you too, sir.
I have papers here to sign for the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act that Ron Paul is, in case anybody hasn't signed them. I have a question. You mentioned the fact that why don't we sell California, I'm from California, to China. Well, it was my impression that when Clinton went for her first Secretary of State to China, that she gave them eminent domain to take any property in the United States for their debt.
That was reported at the time, and I did my best to validate it. I even called the State Department and quizzed them on it for WorldNet Daily. I don't think the specific agreement was made or signed when Secretary of State Clinton went to China recently. I do think, though, because subsequently Chinese economists have proposed the virtually identical idea, that the idea is more than just a germinating idea. China is going to at some point say, all right, you need another $5 trillion of debt sold, we want equity. It's coming. And when the academics start writing about it, like Robert Mundell has been working on global one world currencies for most of his career. He doesn't get to be professor at Columbia because those ideas are not being well received. He isn't being invited to advise countries or work with the Council on Foreign Relations and others. Academic ideas like this have a way of happening, and I think it's only a matter of time until China begins owning parts of the United States. Probably if you put the proposition of selling California to China on the ballot, I'm not sure it wouldn't pass in California. They're so far to the left of California, they might like the idea. And if you put the ballot issue to the rest of the country might say, goodbye.
Great idea.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your question.
That was one of the things that scared me, eminent domain. But probably the scariest thing is that the People's Republic of Red China belongs to the United Nations. And if the United Nations turns against the United States, because they all want to take our guns away, do you think they could use Chinese troops to come in here and take our guns away?
Well, if the United Nations wants to invade the United States, Barack Obama will probably be chairing the Security Council and he'll vote for it. You gotta understand that there's a plan, and I document it fully in America for Sale. Zbigniew Brzezinski has been writing for decades that U.S. foreign policy should not be preeminent as a superpower. He advised Carter. Look at how well Jimmy Carter did with Iran. 444-day hostage crisis. Well, Zbigniew Brzezinski's already advised candidate Obama, one of Obama's keepers, sent to Obama to educate him in the run for president. President Obama has now gone to the United Nations and spoken to the General Assembly in which he refused to acknowledge U.S. exceptionalism. So gone is Ronald Reagan's idea of the shining city on a hill. And then President Obama chaired the Security Council, the first U.S. president to chair ever the Security Council. And the press, mainstream media didn't say why. Are we preparing for the United Nations to dictate U.S. foreign policy? Zbigniew Brzezinski would certainly like that, as I document in this book, and as I documented in the Obama Nation. Obama is a globalist who would be happy to reduce the authority of the United States in foreign affairs. He's doing it step by step. What did we get for withdrawing the missile shield from Europe? Russia conceded nothing. And the United Nations is not only a forum where communist China participates, we have Muammar Gaddafi speaking. Did anyone catch Muammar Gaddafi's incoherent speech? Well, that actually is what he believes. And if you sort it all through, it just was an anti-American diatribe. And then next comes Ahmadinejad from Iran, who denies the Holocaust, is making nuclear weapons, is doing everything he can to deceive the negotiators in Geneva, and has repeatedly called for the destruction of Israel. He's given a forum in the United Nations. You know, we shouldn't be subjecting ourselves to the authority of the United Nations. We should be pulling out and using the land for parking lot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about the North American Union with this new president, but I know he's put in by the same people that was for it and supported Bush. So maybe you can tell us about it.
Well, I wrote two articles. I wrote an article documenting just these two questions after we're here, then we're done. I wrote an article in World Net Daily documenting that so much exposure was given to the North American Union. I think largely the book I wrote, The Late Great USA, The Coming Merger with Russia, with Mexico and Canada. The merger with Russia will come later. Exposed it so much that the Security and Prosperity Partnership became radioactive, and they've renamed it. It's now called the North American Leaders Meeting. But the working groups, the 20 trilateral working groups, stay in place. The North American Competitiveness Council stays in place. Barack Obama wants to expand it from 30 corporations to include environmentalists and unionists. But he's going to continue it. And I got an article today, a banner headline on World Net Daily. Thomas DeKino, who is the head of the Chamber of Commerce in Canada, admitted in an interview that he began the plan for the Security and Prosperity Partnership. He sold it to the Council on Foreign Relations, whose task force report, Building a North American Community, was the blueprint that was sold to George Bush to put into place the Security and Prosperity Partnership. There was always a conscious plan behind the SPP, and it's continuing with a public relations makeover under Barack Obama. By the way, Barack Obama had Austin Goolsbee. When we fired from his campaign, Goolsbee went to Canada and said Barack Obama is saying he'll renegotiate NAFTA. And Goolsbee said this is just campaign rhetoric. It was embarrassing to Obama. Obama fired Goolsbee. Goolsbee's rehired. He's back into the White House. Is working with the Council on Economic Advisors. It always was wink, wink. The rule, as I point out in the Abomination with Barack Obama, is don't believe anything he says. He's always telling you what you want to hear. That's rule number one of Saul Alinsky's Rules from Radicals. Cut your hair, get a business suit, lie.